Sorry, I had the sniffles there. I was like, 2 sneezes. Oh my goodness. So yeah, we have a really good stream today. Thank you for joining me. Great live stream. I'll have another live stream tomorrow. I have some personal stuff I'm doing this week, which is why I've been prepping for it and everything. It's been making things a little crazy. But anyway, I'm glad I'm able to do the live stream today. And I have 3 wonderful stories for us to discuss. And then, I'll have some more videos going up tomorrow and, Thursday and Friday, etc. So it's so nice to see everybody. If you join during a live stream, you'll get a shout out as soon as you join. Otherwise, you can ask me anything at the final 10 minutes of the stream. And then also I'll do some shout outs. You can ask me a question relevant to the discussion at hand during the live stream. And that's why these are interactive. Hey, Roland. So that's how it works. All right, so these are, I'm glad you guys have been enjoying the live streams. Me too. You guys are great. And also super chat and super thanks, super stickers are all turned on. I'm glad you made the stream too, Justin. Okay, so we have the first 2 stories, by the way, are about Black Panther 2, which was confirmed today to be 2 hours and 41 minutes. And I'm very happy about that. I think that's fantastic. That's going to be just great stuff. That's very long. That's a very long movie, but that's what I think that we want to see in something like that. I mean, they'll get to do a lot of really good stuff, and especially with Ryan Coogler directing, I feel really good about it. Yeah, it's the second longest MCU movie, Josh. That's right. Hey, Tiffany. The first being Avengers Endgame, and since Avengers Endgame is one of my favorites, welcome back, Matt. I'm very happy about that news. All right, let's get to that's right, Crown Wolf, that's cinema. All right, let's get to the 3 stories of the day. The first story, okay. Boop. All right, so it was confirmed. Empire Magazine had a big splashy cover story on Wakanda Forever. That's where all this stuff's coming out of, all this new information. A trailer should be here pretty soon. Hey, AJ Linky. I'm trying to find out when the trailer is. I have not been able to discern it just yet. But, there should be one more trailer. The movie's coming up. I don't even think they can wait for Black Adam, quite frankly, because Black Adam comes out at the end of October, and Black Panther 2 is right after that. So it's really soon. That's very exciting. But anyway, Namor, Tenoch Huerta, confirmed that Namor is a mutant, just like he is in the comics. So I think some people who aren't familiar with the comics were a little thrown by that. I had someone write me and say they were surprised that the first 2 mutants in the MCU are Kamala Khan and Namor. And I do think they need to get, some mutants that people are familiar with in here pretty fast. I would love to see a Storm tease at the end of Black Panther 2 because, of course, her origin story. Oh, thanks, Tiffany. That's so sweet of you. Are you injured? I hope you're not injured. That's a cute little sticker. But, Storm's story starts out in Egypt and Africa in the comics, so I think that would be I haven't heard anything about that, but I think even if she's not in Black Panther 2, it would be really nice to have at least something. I don't know. I'll even take that it starts raining at an unusual time. I don't care. That's right, Josh. A Storm and Doctor Doom tease at the end, in 2 separate end credit scenes would be fire. It would be amazing. And then also Wolverine. Wolverine, I think, is obviously going to be coming sooner rather than later. But, it is interesting that these are our first 2 mutants. And, I think if you really want your mutants to be a discernible team, it's a little bit concerning because that's not what it is. Kamala Khan has never been in the X-Men camp. Namor, even in the comics, it's always an afterthought that he's a mutant. The X-Men are always calling him up and being like, why don't you stand with us? You're a mutant. And, Namor sometimes comes over and sometimes doesn't. He also flirts with Emma Frost a lot, so Namor sure likes his blondes, right? So yeah, he's the first mutant, and that's because his character is older than he looks. He's been around for a long time. George Alexander says, is it true they can't recast X-Men until 2025 due to contracts? That could, I have not heard that myself, but that sounds reasonable. That makes sense. Tiffany, I'm glad you're feeling better. So I think it would be, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think that, they've, Taron Egerton says he's already talked to them. He's already talked to Marvel about Wolverine. So that's great, So apparently the conversations are taking place even if they can't sign contracts. A lot of people it's rumored that Giancarlo Esposito could be Professor X. I like that idea, although, that rumor that was going around was obviously not true, about all those castings that would come out soon. Whelm says, Grace, who would you cast as Storm if you had to choose? I don't have anyone in particular in mind, to be honest with you. I feel like, I think it's more about getting the person right. I think that's the most important thing. And I would prefer not to have colorism. They've always gone with a lighter skinned actress. I would love it if Ryan Coogler got to pick the actress. I think he has really good instincts. And there are some great choices out there. And I would have complete faith in Ryan Coogler to do it. Now, to me, Namor being a mutant is really just kind of an afterthought to explain his powers. To me, the most important thing is that you get across the qualities of the character, and that's that he's very regal. Thanks, Vinny. And that also he's very much like a king. Thanks, Tiffany. I'm sorry you're having a rough day, but please keep your comments to the subject matter at hand. So I think that the arrogance is important, and him being very regal. These are all important elements to Namor, and I hope that they get that across. I do think that it's very interesting. Hey, Matt, I think that the way that they're handling everything, I think they're almost making Namor like an ocean Tarzan, right? Like something tragic happens to his family, and he goes and he joins these new people to run and becomes their leader. So I think that could be very interesting. I'm very curious to see how this comes about. But I think that Tino Huerta looks incredible. Wow, Peter. That's incredibly kind of you. I really appreciate it, Peter. And Peter didn't even have anything to say. That was very kind. Thanks, Peter. I'm glad I could put a face to such a generous gift. I think that Namor being a mutant is fine. I think it's a little confusing to particularly people who are not into the comics. But I think they have to explain why he doesn't look like the rest of the people in, whatever they decide to call Atlantis. I think he kind of revealed the name. It starts with a T. I think that, they have to explain why he has, by the way, he has the pointy ears. He went with the pointy ears and the wings on his ankles. He is extremely comics accurate. I mean, they did do some race bending a little bit with the character, you could argue. But people were pretty in favor of, that's pretty funny, Jerome. People were in favor of race bending Namor to begin with. A lot of people going for an Asian actor. But I think because the rest of it is so comics accurate, the changes that they have made, like the Mexican, the South American culture that they've put in there, and having a character from South America works because he has the pointy ears and the wings. I mean, that's certainly Namor. That's right, Jose. That's the name. Talocan. Mayan, yes, Mayan and the Aztecs and everything like that. Talocan. I don't know if I'm pronouncing Talocan correctly. It could be Talocan, but I think it's going to be good. So I'm very excited about that. I think he looks phenomenal, as I told you he did. And I think that headdress that he has on sometimes is incredible. I'm excited to see him in action. And a 2-hour and 41-minute movie makes me feel there's going to be a lot of action. I'm excited. All right, so what do you guys think of Namor being a mutant? Do you think it's a good choice? Do you think, I think it's a little bit like the comics. Nobody really cares. Everyone's fine with it. Mika, he's the villain, and then he's not going to be the villain. That just like Namor. Namor always has like an attitude problem. That's what, Namor is like, which is cool. He's an awesome character in that regard. He always comes in and, he's always like, Imperious Rex. I wonder if he'll say that. If he says Imperious Rex, the audience will go nuts. But he always says Imperious Rex, and he's like, everyone's beneath me. That's totally Namor's bag. That's why he gets along also, I think, with Emma, because they both have this like haughty haughty, superior quality about them. That's right, Ross. He's problematic but lovable, which some people say is what Tinoch Huerta is like. But yeah, I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be really wonderful. So yeah, I think it's going to be great. All right. Yeah, he's a bad boy, Dan Blaster, if you want to describe him that way. All right. So that's the first story of the day. And now let's move over to another part of the Black Panther 2 discussion. Hold on. Boop. All right. So Kevin Feige, right out of the gate, got the question he knew that he would from the press. And that's, why did he decide not to recast T'Challa, and how does he feel about that decision? And so I think Kevin Feige is testing the waters with his answer. He said, the quote is, too much too soon. And that the timing, really just chalk it up to very bad timing. That in fact, Chadwick Boseman passed away right when they were about to start filming. So the script had, and it was a secret. Hey, I know Juice. Well, you have your picture is themed correctly. I love it. So Chadwick Boseman decided to keep his sickness a secret, which I think, of course, we're all very respectful of. And it set everybody reeling, not just the general public, but those who were working with him. And they did push the filming back like about 4 months or something. But, when they were deciding what to do, they were very much emotionally in that place that we all were. And I really think this is a situation where you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. I think that as many people who are upset, and I understand both sides, by the way. I think that as many people who are upset they didn't recast the character, I think just as many people would be upset if they did choose to recast it, saying that Chadwick Boseman, I think that would have been a whole different discussion. And I think they both wouldn't have been a good look. So, but I do think that Kevin Feige's answer brings up an interesting dilemma. And that's that they made the really good choice at the time not to recast. And I told you that they were going to have his death in the movie. And I told you they were going to have a funeral. And everybody said, oh, no, they're not. And they are. And I also told you they were going to have a digital Chadwick Boseman, T'Challa. And they decided not to because you guys all complained when I told you that they were. So, T'Challa was going to show up digitally. And you guys said, oh, we don't like that, which is why Michael B. Jordan is coming back. So everything I told you was correct. But now it's 2 years later. 2 years later, and I think everybody is in a very different spot than they were emotionally than when they first heard the news of Chadwick Boseman's passing. So there are going to be people who originally didn't think he should be recast who maybe now aren't so against it. And I think that it's going to be interesting to pull the audience back emotionally to the space that they were when Chadwick Boseman first passed away. How will people react to that? Do they want to go back to that place? I think that the funeral sequences so far seem quite beautiful and very moving, but do people want that to be what the movie is about? Let's see here. Oh, thank you, Olu. I love your picture. That's very kind of you. Thank you so much. That's very sweet of you. But I think that, I think one of the things that people liked about the first Black Panther so much was that it was so positive and that it really looked forward to a brighter future for the Black community, with Wakanda being that city on a hill. But then now it gets pulled back into the negative aspects of, the Black experience that I think is important to discuss, but that really wasn't happening in the Black Panther area. So I'm curious to see how it affects the movie. Now, I do agree. Millie Jo, I talked about the runtime at the top of the stream. I think that the runtime is phenomenal. I'm very happy about that. It'll be enough for everybody to have a character arc and to have their moments. But I think that I do understand the complaint about a lack of strong Black male leads, not only in the MCU, but anywhere. And that T'Challa was really one of the few, if not the only ones, certainly who really was successful. And I hear that complaint. And I think that it's difficult when the movie now has almost all women. You have M'Baku, you have Namor, but it's really going to be focusing a lot on women, which the first movie did, but, you had Chadwick Boseman to balance that out. I think it doesn't help that all the projects are focusing on women right now, particularly in the MCU. If everybody moves in the same direction at once, it can be a little bit overwhelming for the group that you're trying to get to move with you. So I feel like that's not great timing on the part of the MCU. And I wish the MCU had spaced this out more so that if it didn't happen in every single movie, perhaps people would be more open to it happening in a few of the movies. Whelm says, I don't think it would make sense to recast a multiverse or not if he passed away in the film. Wasn't it hinted at that T'Challa had a son? Couldn't they just pass the torch to him eventually? Well, I told you about the son situation. I don't want to directly confirm it. I mean, let's try to have some surprises here. But I did say that they're going to be having a lot of kids in the MCU coming up. But, I think that this is, Shuri does take on the Black Panther mantle in the comics. It comes right from the comics, which I think totally works. Kay Walton, Michael B. Jordan will return, and I'm not going to tell you what context. It's going to be in a small context, though. But anyway, I think that Shuri should have her moment in the suit. I think it sucks that it's the same year that, Jane takes over for Thor. It's just too much at once. It's just too much at once. But I think that Shuri deserves that moment, and I think Letitia Wright's really great in the role. I know Drew said T'Challa had so much more story to tell, and losing a black leader is devastating. Iron Man and Cap 3 got 3 movies, whereas this is T'Challa's only the second movie. I think that's true, but the Black Panther story will not end, and I think you will have strong male characters in the lead area after this movie. This is, I said again, a transitional movie. I think you shouldn't be Shuri is not going to continue to be Black Panther. So let her enjoy this one movie, for Pete's sake. And I think, just go along with it. And I think that she might surprise you because I think, again, Letitia Wright, despite the comments she might have made personally, I think she's a very compelling and good actress, and Ryan Coogler did a good job casting her. Now, I do think that it's almost impossible to recast MCU characters, particularly leads. They've had to do it occasionally, which people have pointed out, right? Like they recast Terrence Howard with Don Cheadle. I mean, it happens occasionally. But with a character that's really connected, I don't think that you can recast them because, and of course they recast Superman, they recast Batman, they recast Joker, but not in those stories. They reboot the franchise. They didn't have another, and Ed Norton was very brief. And Ed Norton, I don't think really connected. Audiences didn't fall in love with Ed Norton as Bruce Banner. I mean, I think they liked him, but they weren't like, oh my God, it's amazing. Don't get rid of him. Everybody was like, no, that's fine. Millie Jo, Red Hulk's still going to come, but I believe they won't recast Thunderbolt Ross. I believe they will get a different character to be Red Hulk. I think that's what they're going to do. I don't know for sure. I just have heard about Red Hulk specifically. I haven't heard about how they're going to handle it, but that would be my guess. Chad says, are we getting Azari Black Panther's son? That's my question. I can't tell you that, Chad. It's too much of a spoiler. Did you get a press screening for Halloween Ends? I did not. I heard the movie has started to screen, and from what I've heard, I'm not at all surprised that Halloween Ends has gone to Peacock, but I have not gotten my press invite yet. So anyway, I don't know if I would even go for that. Maybe I'll just catch it on Peacock when it drops that morning. But anyway, we're talking about Black Panther. I think that Matt says, I had no faith in this movie. I think Chadwick Boseman dying was horrible, and I don't think Coogler was able to fix the problems of not having T'Challa. Recasting was a horrible decision. Well, I see where you're coming from, Matt, but I don't agree. I think it's going to work. And I think that you could also have variants in the future. And I think that's the only way that the MCU can bring in another Captain America or another Iron Man, and that's with variants. Oh, that's right. They're also replacing Iron Man with a woman, which, these are Riri Williams. I mean, these are good characters, but having them all happen at once, I think, is too much. I think it's just really too much. But again, I think the movie was in an impossible decision place, Black Panther. And I personally think still that they made the right decision. And I think it's going to be fine. I think that Marvel's having problems right now, but I'm not worried about Black Panther 2. I'm not worried about it. Lewis says, but the MCU started with all male leads and no one complained. Well, they had Black Widow. Don't forget that. And I also think that, that's because it was comics accurate. And also the audience, unfortunately, is, largely male for these projects. And that's just nothing that you can't change that. That's just the way it is. And despite having more female characters, it's not changing the balance of male-female viewership, to be honest with you. It's still, mostly guys who watch this content. I think that, I think it's important to have a balance, as Thanos says. And I think that I wish that Marvel was working harder to have a better balance, and then they wouldn't be having these problems, and their female characters would be better represented and better received. And I think that's what we want at the end of the day. We always have Wanda. Everyone loves Wanda. Wanda, I love Wanda so much. All right. Mika says, we thought Multiverse of Madness would be a slam dunk. No, we didn't, Mika. We knew it had a lot of problems. I was reporting to you before anyone else that the thing was being reshot like crazy. I did not have a lot of faith in Multiverse of Madness, but I was excited about Wanda, and I really didn't like what they did with Wanda, but it was comics accurate, so people liked it. And I, as you know, I have mixed feelings about that, but I don't care. Wanda was quite successful, so hooray. George says, questions on variants. Loki had different ones, yet Strange, Wanda, and Professor X were the same. Is this due to being Nexus beings? I'm confused. I think it's just whatever they feel like doing. I think that, Loki had different ones, but Tom Hiddleston was some of them as well. So I think that depending on the universe, sometimes it's a different actor, sometimes it's not. And I think that's the case for everybody, quite frankly. So I think that's, as Jose says, whatever's cheaper. That's funny. I like that. That's very, very funny. All right, so that's the second story of the day, but you can see that conversation starting to take shape about recast T'Challa and Kevin Feige not shying away from it, and that's what his answer is. I think you'll feel really good when you see Black Panther 2. I would not be worried about it. Chico, I already talked about the Black Panther runtime, and I think it's fantastic. All right, so let's talk about the third story of the day. Boom, baby. And that's that Henry Cavill, is he in the Flash? Is he in the Flash? All right, so let me tell you how these things come about, first of all. So I never said I broke this story. I know that some other sites reported it, and the reason I know that, hey, Saad, says, I'm excited for Black Panther Wakanda Forever, but I feel like I go to see it thinking of Chadwick and T'Challa the entire time. Well, maybe that's a great picture, Saad. I think they understand that, and that's why they've made the choice that they did. All right, so yes, this story has been floating around for like a week or so. I'm not sure. I just know I was asked about it this morning. So this morning, someone tweeted me and said, Grace, is this true? Because it came from a small source and not an impartial one. There's a couple of people who've been saying it. And so I went and I checked with my sources, and I appreciate that a lot of you have faith in my sources and feel that, that I'm very responsible in my reporting. So yeah, I looked into it, and my sources confirmed it. And I was a little bit more open to thinking this was true after, of course, finding out about Henry Cavill being in Black Adam. So I was like, did they really put him in the Flash too? Because, originally they were going to kill his character off in the Flash. And I think that that's part of maybe why they decided to add this little dollop onto the movie, because why go there? Why have people actively work against your film? So it's a very, very, very tiny little, as I said, sprinkling. Like, don't get your hopes up. It's not going to be like a huge action sequence or anything like that. But it's there. So let me just kind of talk you through what's going on right now. Because a number of you are like, wow, why are things changing so much? And you had said that this wasn't going to happen. Well, I'll tell you that, you can see that things are changing at Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers has become a hot potato. And even the person holding it doesn't actually, have a clear idea of what they want to do. So I do think that Dwayne Johnson and Danny Garcia want to get Henry Cavill back in there. And they want Black Adam to be a success. And Warner Brothers Discovery, they want to sell Warner Brothers to Comcast Universal in 2024. So they want to have successful DC movies. They want DC to be doing well. They don't want it to be a giant burden, because then, maybe NBC Universal will bring the price down, because they're like, woo, we kicked the tires and this one's flat. So they want to pump this one full of air. David Zaslav had talked about some 10-year plan for DC, and I don't know, I would suspect maybe he never had one. Maybe it was just such a bad, that was 2 weeks with HBO Max cancellations, and Batgirl reactions were so bad that he gave up on it that quickly. But now they just want to sell to they just want to sell Warner Brothers. So they're just taking the movies that they have in the can and they're goosing them up. They're sprinkling pixie dust on them to try and make people like them and for them to do well. So I do think it's interesting that they're falling for the exact same thing that the past Warner Brothers executives did, and that's online chatter. Is the online chatter legit? Is it bots? Do people really love Henry Cavill's Superman? Do they really love the Snyderverse? I think Henry Cavill will definitely boost discussion of Black Adam, and I think it was pivotal for Dwayne Johnson's career that he brought him back. Robert, let me see what Ryan Reynolds just tweeted. I'm looking. Hold on. It says, hey everyone.
Hey everyone. We're extremely sad to have missed D23, but we've been working very hard on the next Deadpool film for a good long while now. I've had to really search my soul on this one. His first appearance in the MCU obviously needs to feel special. We need to stay true to the character, find new depth, new motivation, new meaning. Every Deadpool needs to stand out and stand apart. It's been an incredible challenge that has forced me to reach down deep inside, and I have nothing. Yeah, it's just completely empty up here and terrifying. But we did have one idea.
Let's see if it's Hugh Jackman.
Hey Hugh, you want to play Wolverine one more time?
Yeah, sure, Ryan.
All the money in the world. Wow. All right, I'll make a video after the live stream, but that's going to make all the monies. It'll make all the monies. That's incredible. Just print money. It's ridiculous. All right, that's fantastic. So we are getting a mutant. I told you we want a mutant, and it's going to be, I wonder how they're going to fix that with the timeline and everything like that. But, that'll be great. I'll make a video. That's just fantastic. All right, so anyway, back to DC, which is like, I guess, they're technically bringing back Henry Cavill. But I think that the real test will be whether or not, people actually go and see the movie. Right? Like, does Henry Cavill actually boost the box office, even with these small, is just the promise of these things enough for you? So we'll see. I told you that, The Flash is going to set up a new timeline. It's not the Snyderverse. It's a new timeline where it's going to keep a number of those actors. Jason Momoa, Gal Gadot, now Henry Cavill, but Michael Keaton and Sasha Calle are sticking around. Some of you talked about an Aquaman 2 situation, and they keep changing the order of those release dates, and I don't know if Batfleck is going to be in there or not. We just watched the video, Harry. I'm going to do a video on this afterwards, So yeah, so very cool. All right, so no, Devin, I don't think that was to overshadow Henry Cavill. I think that was just to make a lot of money for Deadpool 3. To make all the monies. All right, so we'll see what happens. The cameo, I heard, is not in the can just yet for Henry Cavill, so, you never know. But that's the current plan as of right now. Things are changing by the minute over at Warner Brothers Discovery, so you never know for sure. All right, so that's going to be great. I'll make a video about Hugh Jackman returning for Deadpool 3 right after this. All right, so anybody want to ask me any questions? Not about Hugh Jackman and Deadpool, because I'm going to make a video on that. So I'm not going to do shout outs today, but I will answer questions for 10 minutes, so until 5:14. Devin Henderson says, what's your favorite sitcom of all time? Oh, I like a lot of sitcoms. I guess maybe Seinfeld, because I'm a New Yorker. That's right, Juan. Ryan Reynolds announced that Hugh Jackman will be returning one more time to be Wolverine in Deadpool 3. Brent says, do you think that She-Hulk is a flop? It's too early to tell. I got to see how it ends. Jerome says, House of the Dragon versus Rings of Power. Who's winning? We'll know this coming week when Rings of Power finally comes on the Nielsen ratings. But right now, Rings of Power trended the day it debuted, but not anymore. Juan, BTT Movie Club will be returning in October. I'm sorry about September, but as I said, I had a personal thing come up that I've been dealing with all month, and that's the issue. Gamer on a Budget says, after Westworld, what do you think of Evan Rachel Wood as Jean Grey for the MCU? I think that Westworld, while I like her on Westworld quite a bit, I think that it's not a successful show, so I would be nervous. I don't think she'd bring a fan base with her. Aaliyah says, Feige admitted Wanda is returning but was vague about what will happen. Which project, confirmed or not, do you suspect we will first see her in? I think she's got to show up in Agatha Harkness, Coven of Chaos. How do you not have the Scarlet Witch in a Coven of Chaos? Jerome says, I haven't heard anything though yet, that's a guess. Jerome says, with nostalgia being such a moneymaker for Hollywood, have you heard anything about any 80s properties developments like Thundercats, Voltron, or Masters of the Universe moving forward? Well, I haven't heard anything about the other ones. They were supposed to do a live action Masters of the Universe over at Netflix, but I don't know what's going on with that. It's just disappeared. Alu says, what is the likelihood Disney will be interested in getting the DC IP? You mean DC, the DC brand? Never. They already have Marvel, and they can hardly, that's too much for them. They don't need DC. Oh, that's very sweet of you, Travis, to gift one membership. That's very kind of you. Jimmy, I'm not going to break down Harley Quinn season 3. There just isn't enough interest in it, I'm afraid. Oh, look, Harjeet got it. Got the free membership. Chen, I haven't watched Rings of Power, I'm afraid. I just don't care for it. And no one's talking about it. And I've talked to a couple other YouTubers, and it's kind of not worth anyone's time. I'm not going to cover Andor this week. Let's see here. Kaylin Riley Cripps says, Kiki Palmer or Janelle Monáe as Storm. Both are on a roll right now. Between those two, I'd go with Janelle Monáe. I'm a big Janelle Monáe fan. I like Kiki Palmer too, but I don't think she's a good fit for Storm. Welcome back, Juanito. Ruben says, what is the likelihood of Storm to show up in Black Panther 2? I haven't heard anything about it, but if she does show up, and I think it's, it could go either way at this point. I would love it to be an end credit sequence. Hey, Nick Gurr, welcome back. Luis, I appreciate you asking me about Andor episode 4, but it's just so freaking boring, and there's nothing going on in it. I'll cover an Andor episode. I'll watch the upcoming episodes as soon as they drop, and if something exciting happens, I'll break it down. But I can't see myself doing it weekly, especially because I have a lot going on this week otherwise in my personal life. But I'm telling you, it's just not worth the return on investment. It takes me about 6 to 7 hours or 6 to 8 hours to oh, of course, Luis. I'll still do She-Hulk for sure. Keith, what are you talking about? Wandered Dust. I don't think I've actually ever seen Starstruck. Or Starstruck. Are you talking about Stardust? But that's very kind. Thank you for the kind words. Let's see here. Newbot Gaming says, what are your go-to snacks when watching a movie? I like popcorn and M&Ms. That's a good way to treat myself. I'm trying not to eat too many snacks during a movie because I've discovered I finish them in the first 10 to 15 minutes of the movie, and then it's it's like empty calories. Sean, I did see that announcement, and I'm going to be making a whole standalone video. We watched the video together during this live stream, and I'm going to make a whole thing. Oh, I see. Okay. Devin says, I keep seeing Elektra recast rumors. I told you I felt a lot of people would be recast. Hey, world. I know, Luis. I'm going to make a whole video about it. About Hugh Jackman. Thanks, Chad. I blocked him. Oh, let's see here. That's okay, Danny. You don't have to have a question. Alex, I would be surprised if Marvel continued to talk to Henry Cavill if he's going to be that in that many DC movies. I think that ship might have sailed. Mommy Needs a Nap. Hey, Mommy Needs a Nap. Favorite movie since you did the mid-year list? Woman King, for sure. Owl Watch. I didn't see your super chat. Let me go back and look at it. I don't see it. Must have been a while ago. I don't see it at all. Justin Tyler says, any additional tea on Joker 2 Lady Gaga's role? Yeah, as I tweeted the other day, she's playing Harley Quinn. I find that quite shocking that she's actually going to be another Harley Quinn. It's very aggressive. Especially since Margot Robbie tried to get her to be in Birds of Prey. And she was like, no, I'll just be you, your character. Yes, Red and Slim. Oh no, that's a different. Mika, Superman, Man of Steel 2 could definitely feature Supergirl, but I have not heard anything about them actually trying to make another Man of Steel. That's very sweet of you, Norwegian Kryptonian. I really appreciate that. I like seeing the different currencies. That's very sweet of you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Red and Slim, I don't think there's going to be a Sandman season 2 at this point. It's taken too long to announce it. I mean, it could always happen, but I don't think it's quite the return they were expecting, especially when we'll talk about a movie. Oh, no, I won't be able to do a movie math this Sunday because of that personal thing. But Dahmer is a huge success, and that was far less money to make. And Dahmer is like a Stranger Things level hit. Thank you, Ruben. Oh, that's very exciting. What a great opportunity to be at AFI for screenwriting. Congratulations. Yeah, Tanya, I tweeted that Joker 2 is from Harley Quinn's point of view. Thank you, your little brother Gabriel. Mike said DC should bring back Brandon Routh, better casting than Cavill, but he got messed up by bad writing. That would be blockbuster franchise material. Yeah. I don't know, to be honest with you. I like Brandon Routh. I think he got a raw deal because the movie itself was so bad, but I honestly wish that DC would just reboot, to be honest with you, with Robert Pattinson's Batman, but they're not going to do it. They're just in a holding pattern until they sell it. Okay, we have, it's 5:14. Okay, I want to get on that Deadpool 3 video. I had a wonderful time doing the live stream with you guys today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And I will talk to you tomorrow. Thanks again, everybody. Bye. Have a great day.